the release of Dunkirk, I've gotten an enormous number of requests that I talk about and rank all 10 Christopher Nolan movies, and I'd actually kind of love to do that because his movies, whether they're great, awesome, somewhere in the middle, fallen, broken, they're all very interesting because he crams ideas into his movies and he tackles storytelling from a pretty unique and distinctly Nolan way, and that makes his movies very fun to talk about. And beyond that, I actually really like almost all of his movies, and as a filmmaker, he started making movies right as I started to love movies. So Memento came out when I was 18 years old, and it might be the first independent, small-budget movie I ever saw in the theaters, at least of that type of movie, where it wasn't a big blockbuster, it wasn't something with big, gigantic marketing. It was a movie that my friend came up to me, and he was like, "Hey man, have you seen Memento?" I was like, "What's Memento? I don't even know what you're talking about." "Yeah, it's got a couple people from The Matrix, the story's told backwards." I was like, "What are you talking about? You can't tell a story backwards." And so I go to see it. I'm just floored by it. Just knocked me out. Awesome movie. And this was kind of right at that point in time where it shaped the way I watched, loved movies, and made me go, oh, there's movies beyond the big blockbusters with Will Smith and big action movies. There's stuff like this too. And it made me love movies more and in a new way and look deeper than I had before. And that is largely because of Christopher Nolan. And of course, he's gone on to become this A-list director that's done some really cool movies, shaped a wing of the comic book genre. And for that reason, his movies are ones I would love to talk about. Before we dive into this, be sure that you put your rankings of his movies, all the ones that you've seen, down below in the comment section. Give me your thoughts on it, as well as tell me what series you would like me, that's a weird word, the franchises you would like me to rank and review in future videos. I do read those. I do factor it into what I decide to do. Some of them require a little bit more homework on my end. Ranking all of the James Bond movies requires me to do a bunch of homework, but it will happen one of these days, I think. Well, without further delay, let's start looking at how we're going to rank all these, starting with Rotten Tomatoes. Coming in at number 10 on Rotten Tomatoes is going to be Interstellar with 71%. That's his lowest, is Interstellar. That's the one that the fewest critics, actually it's difficult to compare that because it was reviewed by over 200 critics, whereas the following had far less than that. But 71% is his bottom mark on here. Coming in at number 9 is The Prestige with 76%. At number 8 is Following with 78%. Coming in at number 7 is Batman Begins with 84%. At number 6 is Inception with 86%. At number 5 is The Dark Knight Rises with 87%. Number 4 is Insomnia with 92%. Number 3 is Memento with 92%. And at number 2 is Dunkirk with 92%. I guess those are all tied. I didn't double check to see which one had the most reviews in all of that. And Dunkirk might move up or down a little bit. It was as high as 97 a few days ago. It was 94% last night when I checked it. And right before I did this video, it had fallen down to 92%. So I don't know where that's going to land. But at number 1 is The Dark Knight with 94%. Now, one of the things that makes his movies interesting is that they're all pretty well received. Well, obviously, it's 71% is the lowest one. Even the one that's Interstellar that has the shakiest reviews, a lot of people love that movie. They can respect the ambition, but it's a movie that probably has some flaws to it. But when we go into kind of ranking these, there's a lot of reasons that you might have almost any of these on top or on bottom. So it'll be interesting to see where your rankings fall, because other than probably a lot of people having The Dark Knight up top, I'm guessing these are going to be all over the place and where different people kind of connected with different movies on the list. And even as I was making my list, I kind of did a rough draft of it about a week ago of where I thought it was going to be. I rewatched Following a couple days ago. I rewatched The Prestige last night, and I changed some things around quite a bit. Actually, after watching Dunkirk, that also shifted my top 3 as I was thinking about where do these things really fall? What do I really feel about these movies? Factoring watchability, the ambition, the quality of the film, the technical abilities of the film, all those elements, I shifted a lot of things around. So I'm not even convinced by my own list. And I'm going to say things in my video now that contradict things I have said in previous videos. I am fully aware of that. Without any more disclaimers of that nature, put yours in the comment section and let's begin. Coming in at number 10 for me is The Prestige. Now, this is one that I didn't catch it in the theater. It's his only movie since Memento. I didn't see Following in the theater. And beyond that, The Prestige is the only one I didn't see. I eventually watched it, I don't know, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, something like that. And it didn't really resonate with me. I wanted to like it. The concept of magicians competing with each other. I love Hugh Jackman, love Christian Bale, Michael Caine. I mean, a lot of people in here that I really enjoy seeing on screen. They make characters likable. But rewatching it last night, this is one that I had a little bit higher up from my memory of having watched it. And then I rewatched it and I went, no, the things I don't like about this are what I'm catching now too. And the fundamental problem is that there's no one in it that I'm rooting for. There's no one in it I particularly like. And the concept of competing magicians is fascinating. The twists and reveals with some of the stuff there's some good ideas in there and certain things about it that are entertaining and intriguing to think about. However, the way the story unfolds just so early on, I'm not rooting for certain characters because of what I believe they've done. And then by the time we realize that they haven't done things or something else has happened, it makes me not root for other people. And they've given me other reasons not to root for the person and not like them. And so fundamentally, it's a movie. It's difficult for me to enjoy when there's no one that I like in it. Beyond that, the direction that they kind of go with some of the reveals and the twists and the Tulsa stuff, when you actually have magic in your movie about magicians, even if it's scientific magic, it kind of pulls me out of it a little bit. Like it feels like we're cheating a little bit when you do stuff like that. And so I didn't like that element to it. There's a lot of things in here to enjoy, but overall rewatching it, it just affirmed to me that I don't actually like this movie. And I think it's his only movie that I would say that about, that I can admire certain things about it. If you tell me you really liked it, I'm not going to try and convince you not to. It's not something like that I didn't like about it. But watching it, I was like, this is too jumbled in the narrative. It's too confusing with the different timelines and when they're giving me information. And then I just was not enjoying the story. And I could see how maybe I would have if they'd had more of an arc building up to them doing worse and worse things to each other. But they started off in a way that I found them really likable. But it just starts off so quickly that we don't like them. And so I can't go for it. Sorry for the interruption. I wanted to talk about the single biggest thing you can do to support my channel, and that's to become one of my official patrons by supporting me financially directly on my Patreon page. If you do that, you get kind of special influence into my page in that I ask my patrons every month, what movie would they like me to review? What subject do they want me to address in a video? And essentially they get a personalized video made directly for them each month. I also give them special influence into my future projects I'm working on, give them shout outs, and like in this video right here, I put a list of their names up on the screen because I want to support their channels as well. So if you'd be willing to support my channel because you're a big fan of what we're doing and you want me to continue doing this, please consider supporting me on Patreon. With all that said, let's continue. Coming in at number 9 is going to be Following. So once again, I watched this one. I thought this one was going to be at the bottom of the list. It's a little bit unfair to rank Following alongside these other movies. For the simple fact of the matter is that this movie was made for $6,000. The next cheapest on the list, I believe, was about $1 million or $2 million. Kind of a big difference in those two numbers. And when you have to make a movie that's only $6,000, you write a script within those constraints. You can only get so many actors. You can only have them doing certain types of things. And with all those constraints, it limits the ambition of what you're trying to do on so many levels. I mean, the movie's only 70 minutes long. So it's very difficult to rank this movie alongside these other movies. I was trying to think, what's this movie like? And it's a little bit like if you found a recording of Taylor Swift right before her first album came out and she recorded a song, it was like a B-side for the album, on her phone, and you're listening to it. She's playing her Epiphone that her uncle got her for $100 and records it on her phone, and you're listening to it and you go, yeah, she's got potential there. Like, she can sing, she can write the songs, but this song didn't make the album and it's recorded on her phone, so it's not a good recording of this song. And it's not what she would do now, but you can see the talent in it. That's what The Following is like. So many production limitations. These aren't professional actors, other than, I guess, Christopher Nolan's uncle, the guy that shows up in most of his stuff, is in here. But beyond that, they're guys, I don't think they've gone on to do anything else. They don't do a horrible job, but they're limited. The movie's shot on 16 millimeter black and white, and it's very, very Nolan-esque, and the story is non-linear and you see things at different times, which is very confusing when the quality of the picture is not great. and it makes it difficult to kind of track along with when you are in the timeline and kind of what's going on. And even to some parts, like, who am I looking at? Because the image isn't that crisp. At the same time, there's interesting ideas here, and this idea of following people and the crime, and he finds ways to put little twists and turns in it that make it interesting, that make it something that you enjoy watching. At least I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed watching The Prestige, and some of that's probably it's only 70 minutes, so it's a little quick little go in, get out, have a fun little, oh, that was kind of interesting, that was kind of cool, low budget, but kind of cool. And so that's kind of the way I take it. And I like listening to demos of artists' songs too, so take it for what it is. I enjoy seeing talented people in the early stages, so I enjoy watching this movie for that reason. That's why it comes in at number 9, even over The Prestige. Coming in at number 8, and there's a pretty big gap right here of The Prestige being, I say, like, I don't particularly like it. Following being one, like, this is interesting. This is, you can see his talent, but it's pretty limited, and you jump up quite a bit until everything up from here is very good or very good, but broken in ways. But coming in at 8 for me is going to be Insomnia. Now, this is a movie that I know some people are in love with it. Some people have never seen it. Some people have forgotten about it. Some people have forgotten it's a Nolan movie. For me, it was a movie that was like, oh, that's a cool thriller. I wish he'd done something a little bit more as his follow-up to Memento, but that's a cool movie. And every time I've rewatched it, being like, no, maybe it's better than I remember. Every time I rewatch it, I kind of go, yeah, I really like this. This is pretty cool. And it doesn't seem to have that magic that most of his other movies have of an exploring ideas and creative storytelling and the elements that he brings to the table in most of his stuff and new twists on things. I don't feel like it's here. And even the idea of sleep and insomnia that's explored here, it didn't have that touch to it the way so many of his other movies that tackle a theme throughout the movie and they really explore something. I didn't get that out of this. Very good thriller. That's kind of the way I take it. I don't even have too much to comment on. I go, that's it. That's a good thriller that has some interesting ideas in it that aren't mind-blowing ideas, but those are kind of cool ideas. Of course, you got great performances from Al Pacino, Robin Williams. Solid movie. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a good thriller. It's just not a great Nolan movie. Coming in at number 7 for me is going to be Interstellar. Now, this is the one that where if Insomnia is the one, I don't really have any negatives to say. It's just kind of a very good movie that doesn't have a spark to it. Interstellar's kind of the reverse version of a movie like this. They're kind of about equal to me, but Interstellar's high points are really high. Its ambition is very high for me. What he's trying to do is very ambitious, cool, and some of the final execution is a little bit, I don't even know what the right word is for the third act reveal, fifth dimensional beings, where it kind of goes later in the movie. You go, okay, I don't hate this. I'm not fully buying it either. And likewise, when the message of the movie is love conquers everything, and then the movie's all about, I gotta get back to Murph, and then kind of the exact way the last few minutes play out, you go, all right, you're almost there. Maybe you needed one more rewrite. Maybe you needed just a little bit more time. Taking this ambitious story with big ideas, with some really cool stuff to tie it all together right. And so this is probably his most flawed film. I guess probably from my perspective, this is the one that just seems to have the most fundamental flaws to what it is. Where even like The Prestige, I think he was pretty close to making the movie he wanted to make. It's just not one that I particularly enjoy. Whereas Interstellar, he's making a movie I would like to really like. He just doesn't quite get there. And alongside with The Dark Knight Rises, they're both movies that I don't think he quite got to the ambition that he was going for or trying to pull off with it. But with Interstellar, there's some just phenomenal moments in this. Just where the sequence where he's trying to like dock the ship while it's spinning, and just as it's happening, it's like so well directed, and the music playing into it, all the elements, and it's an incredible sequence. The first time McConaughey gets off the planet and all the years have passed and he's watching those videos just wrecks you emotionally. So many things in this are really, really good and very powerful things. And some of the stuff in there is not so good. And it's also probably 20 minutes too long. Perhaps if the third act had landed better, brought it all together a little better, I wouldn't say that it's too long. But as is, it's like, whoa, we're almost at 3 hours here. That's a bit much for the movie that we're telling right here. even as I say that, when I saw it in the theater, I wasn't totally drained by the end of it. When I've rewatched it at home, I wasn't totally bored by it or anything like that. At the same time, it's a bit much. Hey, Johnny V! Can I call you Johnny?
Not on your life.
Well, sorry, man. Hey, can I tell you about MoviePass?
No!
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you anyway. So MoviePass is the way I go see all my movies. Here's how it works. I pay $45 a month, and they send me a... Oh, that was dramatic. They send me the card in the mail, and whenever I want to go see a movie, I pull out my phone, open up their app, it's free, select the movie I want to go see in their app, they put the money on the card that you kicked out of my hand, and then I swipe it and it covers it. It's really a great deal. So for $45 per month, you can go see as many movies you want. Just a couple catches in there. First one, you can only see one movie per day. Second one, you can only see any one movie one time. But beyond that, it's just a great deal.
Not bad, partner.
So if you're interested in signing up, please use the link down below in this video. You guys too. It does help out my channel, but this really is the way I go see all my movies, and I do recommend you check it out, Mr. Van Damme. You gonna do it?
It's done!
Oh, that was really fast. Hey, can I get a high five before you go? That was a kick, not a high five. But seriously, guys, it is the way I go see movies. I do recommend it. It's a good deal if you go see enough movies per month to warrant it. I've had a great experience with it, and I think you will too if it's the right service for you. If you're gonna sign up, please consider using that link down below. It does help out my channel. With that said, let's get back to our video.
See you next time.
Coming in at number 6 is going to be The Dark Knight Rises. Now, as I said before, this, like Interstellar, once again, these ones are on the same level. Really, Insomnia, Interstellar, Dark Knight Rises are kind of in a certain category altogether. And this one, once again, is a movie that I so respect the ambition that he was going for. I really like this movie. It's a very good movie. But there's a lot of cheats in there. There's a lot of conveniences in the plot where things have to fit together with timelines and events have to unfold in a specific way for the plot to happen just right so that this can happen. And you can feel the plotting. You can feel the screenwriting magic that they were going for to set up this big, epic story. And I don't know if they could have fixed it, if they had another rewrite, if they had a little bit more time on it. I don't know if that's the solution or if they were just trying to tell a story so ambitious and big in the scope of just a slightly under 3-hour movie that you just can't do it. I'm not sure if that's what the problem was. But there's definitely some cheating in the storytelling. And you can watch the Honest trailer, like some of the, I'll reference that frequently. The Honest trailer calls out some of the big cheats in it. I think that was the one was done with Red Letter Media, and that was one of the first times I was introduced to Red Letter Media. And I love some of the quotes in it actually about it. But they point out just how, wait a minute, he can barely walk, and now he's Batman? His back was broken, and now he's beating up Bane? What? Just because he's motivated to be Batman? What? There's too many cheats in it. Like I said, I really like this movie. It's actually a movie that has a special place in my heart because I took my interns to go see it when it was in the theaters. Not opening night, but opening morning, that first showing at the Bob Bullock IMAX theater right across the street from the UT campus. It's enormous IMAX. I mean, just mind-blowing to see this movie on that screen. One of my interns actually put together a Bane outfit that had the whole deal. Even they crafted a mask and everything. And then while we were waiting in line, they dropped the mask and had to fix it while we were in line. And the guy was walking around taking pictures with people. We were first in line, and so we had the best seats in the biggest IMAX theater in Austin, Texas. So I mean, I really do love this movie. I just can't deny the fact that there's some problems in the story that they constructed. Coming in at number 5 is going to be Memento. This for me is it's a movie experience more than a great story. What Nolan has often done is he's found a way to use the format of movie storytelling differently. Not radically differently, not experimental cinema, but his non-linear storytelling finds a way to create new experiences that you can have in storytelling. So, for example, Memento, if you tell this story linear, It's not very interesting. It's not all that cool of a movie or story. It's like, oh, a guy lost his memory and you can trick him and he kind of plays tricks on himself and that's kind of interesting, but it's not a particularly great movie to watch in order. And the DVD at one point in time, and maybe the Blu-ray now, actually has a cut of the movie that's in chronological order, and you re-edited the whole thing in one smooth, straight through chronological order. And it's not nearly the same experience, obviously. However, when you take this idea of what if someone's memory was lost and what if they were playing tricks on themselves and other people were playing tricks on them, you could tell that story in reverse chronological order, so have the scenes out of order. You could tell a very compelling story in something where the lead character, being a first-person story, is an unreliable narrator, and you can do that in movie form here. That's very interesting, clever storytelling and creates this very unique cinematic experience. To that point, though, that it's more of an experience than a story, it's a great first viewing. It's a great second viewing. By the third one, you're like, all right, I've seen this before. And it loses a lot of the weight pretty quickly. Because the first time you watch it, that's so cool, it's not in order. You watch it the second time, and you're like, oh, now I see what's happening. Oh, that's awesome. And then third time, none of that works anymore. That's kind of my take on it. I saw it in the theater, as I mentioned before. I think I saw it twice in the theater, bought it, rewatched it a ton because I was just into stuff like this. But over the last 10 years, it's not a movie I rewatch very often unless it's like, you haven't seen Memento, you've got to see Memento. And I'd like to share it with people more so than watch it on my own time. But and I don't say really any of that as a flaw necessarily. It is the movie it's trying to be, and it successfully does what it's trying to do, and it creates a very interesting and unique cinematic experience. And for that reason, when I say it's like fifth on this list, that means it's still way up here. This is like an 8.5 movie for me. I really like it. Coming in at number 4 is Batman Begins. Now, this is one that, depending on if I rewatch it soon enough, depending on how much Red Bull I've had, this one can move up there to number 1. All these top 4 are probably going to cycle around quite a bit throughout time. But I love this movie. Batman Begins is a very cool movie. I love origin stories, so naturally for me, it kind of works pretty nicely to have a Batman origin story. I love Batman. He's my favorite superhero along with Superman. So naturally, having an origin story for him and a kind of a definitive telling of it that's nice and concise and well done by a great director makes for a great movie. But just as a comic book movie, as a story about a hero, as a character study of someone who's very broken but decides to use their brokenness for good, all of these are such compelling types of storytelling that actually draw emotions out of you. There's a lot of great little lines in here with Alfred or with the Katie Holmes character that just kind of explore his psychology that makes you go, Batman's awesome. I love Batman in ways that we really hadn't even seen that before, of exploring it on this level of what if someone really was this motivated to seek to fight injustice and would really lay down their life and become this character for that purpose. All of that makes this a very cool movie that I thoroughly enjoy. I love the way it's told in some non-chronological, very Nolan-esque in the way it's done. Very cool movie. Love this movie. One of the great comic book movies of all time. And one of the best casts of a comic book movie of all time. I mean, if you take Katie Holmes out of the cast of this movie, and I don't even have big problems with Katie Holmes in the movie or anything like that. Some people do. So if I grant that criticism, take her out of the movie, and you look at the cast in this is just a phenomenal, amazing cast of actors in all of these roles. Even like we have Ken Watanabe as the fake Ra's al Ghul, and just all these little things. Of course, Christian Bale and kind of his star-making performance. He'd been around since Empire of the Sun back in the 80s, and he'd been acting throughout this whole time. And so movie lovers knew who he was. This is the one that made everybody go, oh, Christian Bale. And he just shot straight to the A-list, where he stayed for the last 10 years because of the movie. It's 12 years now after this movie came out. So, yeah, this is a very cool movie. And kind of on a personal note, so it came out a year and a half before I got married. I used to be super duper duper skinny, like 6'1", 135 pounds. And so Christian Bale's weight gain going from The Machinist to this movie was inspiration for me when I decided, hey, I am going to get into shape. I'm going to start lifting weights and I'm going to gain some weight because I don't want to be the gangly guy anymore. So this movie inspired me to change, to be a better person. That's how heroic Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne and Batman are. They changed my life, and it can change yours too. That was weird. Coming in number 3 is going to be Inception. This one, I had it on the top of my list for a little while in one of the drafts of this. I love Inception, and I love the brilliance of the script of this movie. This is the movie that most impresses me of the movies on this list. It's the one that, when I left the theater, I was like, that script, the direction of that was astounding in the way it has big ideas about dreaming and exploring ideas, all these stories running parallel to each other. And it's a movie that has multiple interpretations of what you're seeing, and whether he's still in there, he's not in there, and it's set up at the beginning of the movie. They establish these ideas of what could be these different interpretations of what's happening and what happens to Cobb. And it plays throughout the whole movie, and you get to the end, and it has a satisfying resolution to that. Some people have called it a cop-out, that they don't actually give you the definitive answer, but the non-definitive answer is a resolution to the character himself. It's a resolution to the character arc. So the movie is kind of exploring ideas of he's moving forward, is he stuck in the past? And so the fact that it gives a non-definitive answer in the end is a definitive answer in and of itself of the question we're asking is the wrong question. I'm giving you the answer to the right question, which is he has moved on, whether what's happening is real or not. And that is all so cool to me, the way he pulled it all together and made such a tight, cohesive script. And that's where some of the movies on this list, like The Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar, that had big ideas, were ambitious, were trying to do big, bold things, that he didn't quite pull it off in the end. You see these holes in parts of it, or issues with the way he made the pieces fit together. This is not that. This is all the pieces fit together right. And part of that is because this is a movie that he'd apparently been writing the script on it for like 10 years. And tweaking it and adjusting it, moving the pieces around to make things fit just right. And when you think about it that way, you go, okay, that makes a lot of sense that he's been able to have so much stuff going on, so ambitious, so bold in the way it happens. And even the visuals of it, the way he realizes dreams in a way that's creative and interesting without just being weird, trippy, acid trip stuff or anything like that. It makes sense, and it's visually exciting. It makes for an action movie and sci-fi movie and weird, quirky movie, and with some amazing shots in it that, years later when Doctor Strange did this kaleidoscope type stuff, you see it and you immediately go, that's like Inception. And that's how definitive this movie was, or influential this movie was, that it kind of shaped the way we even think about certain types of visuals. It did it that well. Now, as for why I don't have it all the way up at the top, the reality is I don't watch the movie very often. And while I respect the ambition of it, part of the reason I don't watch it as much is because the actual kind of central stories of it, to some extent, don't emotionally resonate with me as much as I would like them to, as much as I actively try to like this movie more than I do, which I love this movie. It's like a 9 out of 10 for me. But it's not that kind of best of the year. It's not, or best of all time level that I would want it to kind of strive to get towards. It's not one that I want to watch as often. Very much kind of like Memento. It's a phenomenal cinematic experience where he had an idea. Hollywood gave him the budget to pull it off. And he pulled off this exploration of dreams and moving forward while being an exciting action movie with amazing sequences in it. But the experience is one that I don't need to watch a lot. It's one that I loved the first time. When I've rewatched it, I've liked it. But I simply do not rewatch it as much as a lot of the movies on this list. And I don't think I will rewatch it all that many times. So that's the only reason it's not all the way at the top. And that was a pretty late in the process shift down from all the way up at the top. Coming in at number 2 is going to be Dunkirk, the one that I saw last night. Now, I've only seen this movie one time, so it was last night. I haven't been able to marinate in that one as much as obviously all the other movies on this list. It's the only one on the list I've only seen one time. So as time passes, it could move up to number one. It might move down a little bit. But coming out of the movie, seeing what he was able to pull off, the way he was able to make a war movie that was very true to being a war movie while being a survival movie, while being very distinctly a Nolan movie, he pulls all of that together perfectly, as Nolan often does. And it's a movie that you can already, the discussion immediately started where a ton of people love it. And then there's a bunch of people that are going, I'm not there. I don't like it the way everyone else does. Primarily because of what he did with the movie. What he did with the movies, he makes it about the event itself and the realism of the survival of this situation. So a lot of the stuff that you normally see in war movies, a lot of the types of stuff that those character arcs, the depth of dialogue, the heroic moments that you kind of want in a war movie, they're just not in this movie. It's not what this movie is, and therefore, for good reason. It's not unfair for people to like, there's not a lot of dialogue. There's not a lot of character development. There's not a lot of big character arcs here. Those are all legitimate concerns with the movie, and if that's what you need for a movie to be awesome and great, you're not in the wrong. However, for me, this movie as an exercise in and of itself of what it is, of being this survival story of an experience where we are there with them in this visceral, real, brutal, war-torn beach, sky and boat, that's what this movie is, and that's what it did. And for me, it was very emotionally resonant. I've heard some people say it's like you're at an arm's length with the story, and I guess I just disagree with that. That wasn't my experience with the movie. For me, this is the movie that emotionally moved me the most this year. And, we're in July at this point in time, and so that's 7 months of movies, and this is the one that kind of got me worked up a little bit by the end. And when certain things happened, when certain people came to the rescue in the final few minutes of it, this is the movie that really got me kind of emotional. And when the movie ended and the credits rolled, my theater started clapping. So that was my experience with it, that he found a new way to tell a war story that was captivating, that was interesting, that it took out the cliches of most war movies, and it took away the romanticism without being anti-war. It was just a story about this event and how the people came to save the soldiers because we're all in this together, and so we're going to come and rescue you. And it's a story that should have been so hopeless, but you feel hope in it. He found the way to do that. There's not a lot of dialogue, but I cared about these characters. I was gripped by what was happening. The nonlinear storytelling device where there's kind of three timelines that eventually kind of merge together. The way that plays out and has little reveals in the story about characters and moments where it comes together. All of that worked for me. This is a really neat movie that hopefully you can go out and see, so it makes a lot of money, so we send Hollywood a message about what types of movies we want. So please do that, since it's still in the theaters as of the time of shooting this video. But with all that said, coming in at number one is going to be The Dark Knight. Now, I fought it. I didn't want to put it on the top because I don't want to be too cliche. It's the one that a lot of people love. A lot of people put it on top. It's gotten a lot of praise. Even in one of my Q&As a couple months ago, someone asked me, do you think that Christopher Nolan will ever make a movie better than The Dark Knight? And at the time I answered, I said, yeah, I think he already has in Inception. And then I would likewise say perhaps he did with Dunkirk as well. But if I'm being honest, if I'm taking all the ways that I review movies, whether the enjoyment factor, the rewatchability, the technical proficiency of the movie, the ambition of the film, and how well does this movie capture what it's trying to do, if I factor in all of those elements together, besides the fact that Dunkirk's the new one, so I don't want to overhype it in my mind, and I don't want just the excitement of the moment, besides that stuff, Dark Knight is the one that I think comes to the top, that I have the fewest issues with, that I love the movie, that it's just a really neat movie that does what it's trying to do very well, for me at least. Once again, the casting here is amazing, and people always talk about Heath Ledger's the Joker. Why don't know? I can't say the Joker. The Joker, which of course he does a great job in it. For me, I actually always liked Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face more than Heath Ledger's the Joker, and that's not in any way negative on the Joker, Heath Ledger at all. He's amazing. That was an amazing performance. I just thought Aaron Eckhart also gave an amazing performance in the movie. And so just all the elements of it are kind of what makes the movie just such a great piece of cinema. And that, like in the third act, Batman fighting the Joker and the thugs, that's really cool. But you're actually more invested in what's going on a prison ship and like a liner where they're wondering who's going to blow up who, and these sorts of tension and game theory sorts of ideas that they work into the plot, though I don't think they use the word game theory, but they have all these sorts of elements to it where he's exploring ideas of hope and ideas of escalation and ideas of good and whether we're designed good or whether bad guys can be good. All this stuff, exploring ideas while telling a thrilling, exciting story that has stakes, where bad things happen, where good guys lose, where when the good guy wins, still bad things happen, where a good guy turns evil, where the superhero has to take the fall for things. All of these ideas make for real conflict and drama where you feel every action has consequences, good and bad. Things lead to places, they have destinations, and so choices lead places, and all of this just makes for a movie that is very emotionally resonant. Throughout the whole thing, you feel captivated by things happening and you emote with the characters. And it's not because there's a few moments that are very cinematic, big, speechy, big, someone died and there's a person crying type moments in the movie. But a lot of it is just simply the fact that there's actual drama happening on screen, that you care about each side of situations. And that makes for great cinema. It makes for great storytelling. And that's why this movie made it to number 1 on my list. And I think one of the things, the reason that this one makes it all the way to the top is if you look at Nolan's 10 movies, this is the most direct of them. It's the most straightforward. And by that, you look at Inception, you got 4 storylines going on. You look at Interstellar, and it's telling stories about love can conquer all and 5th dimensional stuff and kind of time travel because of light and wormholes. And in Memento's told out of order, Dunkirk has 3 different storylines. So he's always trying to do these big, ambitious stories in different directions. And as such a great director, he can do that stuff. But here, he takes a classic character and tells a not straightforward in the sense of it's like all other comic book movies, but he tells a story that's direct in that it's not nonlinear, it's not extraordinarily ambitious like the Dark Knight Rises covering so much time and some of the stuff they try and do with that. No, it's a straightforward crime drama starring Batman, with the Joker as the main villain in it. And for that reason, I think it just highlights all of his strengths and he could just bring his A game and just knock it out of the park. So it is number 1 on my list. But how about you? What is your ranking of all of Christopher Nolan movies, or at least the ones that you've seen? Tell me down below in the comment section and tell me what movies you would like to see me rank in the future. I would love to hear your thoughts. I do read it and I do make decisions based off what you guys recommend. With all that said, if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, I do ranking videos. Hey, like the one you're watching right now. But I don't want to just talk about movies. I want to talk about movies with you. So join us in the comment section. Let's get a great lively discussion going on, and thank you so much for watching.